So Piotr to start this time. Game 2. Having won the first game. Piotr's immediately drawn pinners in turns, so it's going to be another bonus start for him. And he's going for tinners with the E on the star. Now he's taking that back. In general, I try to put the S on the square next to the star so that if your opponent uses it for a bonus, they're going to open up at least one triple and then possibly a 9 timer if they play a bonus that starts or ends with that S. So it's quite useful to try and do that, I find. That does give Paul the he needs for pre-trial or Paltria, of course. Don't think there's anything else with that rack. Paltria is a little better because it doesn't put a vowel next to it. A double letter score that can be used in conjunction with a triple. I think I would have played in turns 1 square further to the left so that the second M was on the star, then the F is in that favoured position. Paul's got Paltria lined up. Agree with that. That doesn't leave vowels next to premium squares. Score a little less than in turns, but it's a bonus start and the ball will be wide open, so that'll make things interesting. And indeed, Paltria goes down. Yeah, Quackle confirms that those are the only 2 bonuses available with that rack. So a 3-point lead for Piotr, and he's drawn an awkward rack. He's got PQW on his rack, so he's going to have to take to sort that out. You can play Cat at least from the T of Paltria. He could choose not to play the Q and play PEW next to Paltria just to score. Which I quite like actually, because you've got Cat next turn. You may well draw an I for QIS from in turns. You can always drop the Q with the I of in turns next move, and you may well pick a U if he's lucky enough to do that. So yeah, I would play Pew, I think. Oh, I didn't realise Jessica was on the commentary as well. Good morning, Jessica. You are allowed to talk.
Morning. At least I hope it's still morning. I'm not even sure why
I'm
awake.
So it's morning for another hour at least.
I'm not usually awake this early.
No, Saturday mornings for Lions normally, but here we are.
Every day is a lion for me. When you start work at 2.
Right. No, I start work at 9:30, so I can't do that.
Like normal people start work at 9:30.
Piotr has played Pew, keeping the Q, which I agreed with. Piotr's Paul's drawn 3 pairs. 3 pairs, 2 A's, 2 D's, 2 E's, and an I. So ideated maybe, or ideata, just to dispose of vowels. Or he could play idea next to Pew, I guess. A little that for balance and scores a bit more.
It's a shame with all his triple letters or whatever that he can't make one of those fancy words like Toto.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Yeah, I think idea looks like the best move here through next to Q, making PI, Ped, and Or. That's 20 or so, keeping ADE, which will go well with all the floaters on this board.
Mm-hmm. Can't argue with getting rid of your duplicates.
No.
And that's the highest scoring option to getting rid of all your duplicates, I guess. Because it makes so many parallels.
Yeah, parallel plays often score more than you think, and they're often a good way to score well with clunky letters.
Yeah, it really is possible to score like 40 points only hitting like a double letter square and like having a 1 point tile on it. Or not even hitting any of those squares at all. I think I managed it once. It's always fun to score 30 points like that.
Yeah, you feel like you've stolen something because you're scoring well when realistically you won't most of the time with the rack that you have, but it just so happens in that situation you can make a parallel play and score 30 with it or whatever. So yeah, it's a bonus really. And that does separate great players from good ones because being able to score at all times is not always easy, and if you have the right board vision, you can make plays like that and bring points out of poor racks.
And I'm a more naturally inclined defensive player, but I really value board vision completely. Like,
yeah,
especially when you get tighter boards, board vision is so important. And I do think that there are a lot of players that can lack really great board vision sometimes.
Indeed, and Paul has played Idea, so he was the best play. The Piotr was 13 ahead. He didn't draw a U, but he did draw an S. He can play cat as before if he wants to, which he probably will. Which he does.
Yeah, don't keep a hold of that Q too long.
Well, yeah, there are 4 U's available, but you can get 24 for it, and there's no reason for him not to play it this turn. So keeping a pleasant lead. So yeah, no arguments there.
Yeah. Keeping it will only severely dent his chances of getting a bonus. So ideally, the quicker you play it, the sooner you'll get that bonus.
Quite so, yeah. Paul's continued to be played by vowels. He kept ADE. He's drawn 3 more vowels than the Y. So again, he's got to think hard about where to score.
I think I've just seen a TWR only word and I feel sad it's not in Collins. Oh well.
Yeah, there's a few of those now.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have pedo without the A. That would make ODEA quite nice. But
it would, yes, if it was allowed. Fortunately, it isn't.
Yeah. Because the dictionary has finally decided to not allow Americanisms. Or at least one of them.
There are still plenty of words that you can spell the American way and that we can play. So maneuver, esophagy, things like that.
I think ideally here Paul wants to get rid of O, E, and A, and then whatever else he can make fit, but he can't get rid of the Y at the same time.
Yeah, so, at least 3 vowels you should play off, but you'll want to play the Y off as well, and the 2 objectives are kind of incompatible because the Y doesn't go that well with vowels, especially not I's. He doesn't have any I's here, but in general, the Y doesn't play well with vowels.
Yeah, it's one of those consonants that is a vowel that is way better with other consonants. But the Y in general is a really great scoring tile, and I always feel like it's so easy to score 30, 40 points with it.
Not this time, unfortunately, but yes, that's generally a good principle. You can score easily with Ys. Just not here, unfortunately, for Paul.
Yeah, and there aren't many good consonants either to play around to get rid of all these vowels. It's literally just N, and S.
you could play a reed through the first R of Poltria, but it doesn't score a great deal, but it does get rid of 3 vowels.
Mm. And he's definitely looking to score as well, because he's 37 behind, and having to score 15, and then Piotr will score maybe 25, 30, 35 points. Then he'll be behind 50 points, and he'll need a bonus at that point, or a lot of good power tiles.
Yeah, it's not the easiest board to score on though. So I think if Paul were to play a reed, say, then Piotr's next turn isn't going to score that much, I would suggest. We know what he's got, but I think in general he's not going to score much anyway, because there's nowhere to score on this board. Or if you just take off the triple below the A of cap.
Yeah, and that is a hot spot as well for scoring. So
it's about the only one on the board, really.
I find it's good to stop your opponent from scoring as well if you can't score yourself, because that way you prevent yourself falling further behind if you're able to stop your opponent scoring.
Indeed, yeah. I think we have a case in point here, that being the only hotspot on this board.
It also makes your opponents pretty mad when you keep blocking what they want to play. Psychologically, it ruins them.
It can do, yeah. But Paul has chosen to play EYAS from the S of interns, which creates more scoring opportunities. It does keep 3 vowels, though.
Yeah, but it does unduplicate the vowels.
It does.
And oh dear isn't quite a oh dear kind of rack.
You will need at least 2 consonants in his pickup, though, I would suggest.
Let's channel the consonants onto his rack. It's probably not going to happen. But
there's already quite a lot on the board.
Nope, there's some vowels again.
Piotr plays few, which is the obvious move, scoring well and keeping ELMS, which is probably about the best leave he could want from that rack.
Yeah, and few is quite it creates 2-letter words that are really hard to parallel with. So Paul would need a T to play on the end of F, and then because of the positioning of few, he'll need a 6 or 7-letter word to actually get down to be able to score 20, 30 points.
Yeah, so, it does create a nice bonus line, but if you don't have a T, you can't really score off it. So Paul has more vowels. He could play Dovia and Cat, which he's got lined up. He can't score much else, I don't think, if he doesn't do that. So we may well see that momentarily.
Mm-hmm. It's about the only thing that makes sense, really.
With that rack, yeah. And the AE does hook well onto that bonus line that I just mentioned next to few, so could work out well for him. That was the evil side of ES, though, because you can score easily with it and block. So Paul finds himself in a worse situation than he was in prior to playing AS. He just played Dovia, so yeah, looks like the best move. 31.
Yeah, can I check W, please?
Yeah, play is good. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, it's been challenged, so an extra 5 points for Paul there. It'll come in handy.
137.
I wonder why that gets a challenge. So
It is very easy to doubt yourself sometimes. I've made some odd challenges in the past.
Don't get me started on how many odd challenges I've made, just because I can't read basic English words.
Well, one time I challenged Clever because I thought my opponent had forgotten to put the A in for Cleaver. The penny did drop when, as we sent off the challenge, because this was many years ago before we had self-adjudication. He said, "Oh, you are clever." I said, "Oh, of course, yes."
I challenged headline once. I thought, is that what you see on your forehead when you frown?
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while to twig. But yeah, Doviest is quite a known 7-letter word. I mean, I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to have Dovia after Doviest, but
yeah,
it's not a bonus you see every day.
No. In the meantime, he's lined up gamlets, which isn't a word, of course, but he drew tag to go with elms, so he can play next to few if he wants to. So something like metal to score if he wants to take off the that bonus line.
Yeah, it does break up the synergy of his rack, but he doesn't really need to try for a bonus at this point. If he just keeps scoring, and playing loads of tiles, he might pick up blanks, he might pick up better letters. Because playing more tiles doesn't stop you drawing bonuses.
In fact, he can play pigmeats from the PI of Q, but he's not playing that. He's playing Gam.
19.
That would be fancy.
It scores a lot to it.
There were 3 potential 8s. The floaters weren't available, but maybe he saw them, maybe he didn't.
Yeah. But he plays Gam, which is probably second best to pigmeats.
Yeah, they're Almagest, Glamust, and Meltages.
Well, Almagest is nice, yeah.
Yeah, because Almagest is a word ending EST that takes an S, which is always fun to see that.
Yeah.
Catch your opponents out. Yeah, Glamust is, it was new to CSW 15. It will just mean more glamour.
Oh, is it? Right.
Yeah. My Zarf has highlighted in green. But Glamust is easier to say than most glamorous.
Anyway, Paul's got the J. He does have a T, so he too can play next to EF. Bejant doesn't fit, unfortunately. That would be useful, but he's lined up Gadji. That's a good score for the J. Probably not much else he can do with the J. There's nothing down to EFT. And yeah, Cockle says that's the highest scoring play. So yeah, fair enough.
Yep, can't argue with Gadji.
Piotr's drawn 3 consonants. Drawn KNX, I think. He's immediately playing Nelt next to hooking the T onto EF.
Well, doorbell's just rung, so I'm going to need to run downstairs quickly because I'm the only one home.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Piotr plays Nelt. That looks strong. Quackle agrees. Static elevation. There's also Sklent, which I had seen that didn't realise it played under Gadji's. But Nelt looks like the best play because it keeps SX and scores well. Doesn't give too much away. Excuse me. Paul kept the NT. He's drawn HMOO. We can use the K if he wants to by playing something like Knob. This should be the obvious play to make. Piotr's drawn Oxford in the meantime with the blank, although it doesn't fit, I don't think. If there's anything else there, but he will be able to score well with the X. Things like Ox next to Gadji or next to Nelt. So it's already looking pretty good for him. I wonder if it's worth keeping the M for Paul so he can make a play ending MPED using the ped on the top of the board. That's a bit fanciful, but might be worth doing.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
And I didn't miss anything.
You missed Piotr drawing a blank, but that's about it. Nothing has been played, but Paul's playing Knob now. So Piotr can play Nox in either direction for 40 points.
Which one would you prefer, though? Which Nox?
I might keep the B open because you could draw Body Surf next move, say, or something else with the B. You want as many floaters as you can get if you've got a blank, just to give you more options for next turn. In fact, Paul's drawn the other blank, so this could get pretty interesting. Or he could play Oxford, actually, and keep S blank from the O of Knob. That's 42. That actually looks better than Nox, I would say. Even though it does open up scoring opportunities next to the O of Oxford for a potential 40-50 point play.
Yeah, it's a shame Oxford's doesn't play either.
It is a shame, but yeah, I think I would play Oxford, the O of Knob, for the points.
Oh, doorbell's gone again. The postman must have forgot something. What is it?
Yeah, and he is playing Oxford. So it's a good find because it would be very easy just to play Knox here and not look at what new opportunities Knob gives you.
42.
That'll give him a 47 point lead. Paul has the other blank. Don't see anything immediately with what he has. He doesn't have an E, so he can't play next to Oxford. You have to use the blank for that, and he won't do that, I don't think. Not with what he's got.
He just put that package through the letterbox. Why he needed to ring the doorbell, I have no idea.
Strange.
But hopefully that means the postman won't ring the doorbell again.
Not see anything for Paul in this rack. He's in the wrong place for Hotel Dub, which would have been fun.
I love looking at the words ending DOM. I wish I knew all of them.
Yeah, there's a few nice ones like Villagedom and Noveldom, things like that.
Sometimes I just learn words for the fun of like how they're spelled or how they look or the patterns. I don't really care about the probability.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that learning words can be quite a slog. So if you can find interesting ones to learn, that makes it a bit more enjoyable. Piotr's drawn Sour Gum in the meantime, so we can play that from Gadgies.
That will score a lot of points.
It will.
Hiltildum isn't the only 8 either. There are 4 more 8s with the right floaters.
The Smoothly I saw, but he can't. There's no floaters for that.
Yeah, I don't think any of them.
There's Monolith at the end was in a better place, but
yeah, Loathsome and Philomore.
Oh, Philomore, yes, of course. Yeah. But none of them play, so he's played home, which looks pretty reasonable. Takes off that triple, scores some points, keeps OLT blank. It's pretty reasonable. So will Piotr know Sour Gum, and if he does, will he see it? Looks like he has. That's a good find.
Sour Gum being new as well.
Oh, is it new? I didn't realise it was new. I thought it was an old one. But anyway.
It's been like 2 years since the dictionary's come in. I don't think anyone cares about old and new words anymore. They're all words. It does have an anagram, though.
Grimace, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But of course, Sour Gum, way more points. Actually plays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very unintuitive making the blank M and having it end in an M. So, done well there. They may not be sure of it because he's not played it. He's still rearranging his rack. I don't see any other 7s there with that.
No, it's just those 2, Grimace and Sour Gum.
Those 2, okay. Not that surprising, really, considering the 2 U's of the G. A bit awkward, but yeah, Sour Gum is the play, surely. He may not be sure of Gadgies, I suppose, but he's playing it. That's a good find.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost have to play it if you saw it, wouldn't you?
I think so, yeah. He may not be 1,000% sure of it, but I guess if it's a new one, it may be fresher in his mind. So, but he's played it. He's pulled the trigger, and he's going to 482 for it.
So
Paul's
I think Sour Gum is also Black Gum, which is a Tupelo, Nyssa sylvatica of the eastern US with light and soft but tough wood. the tree, basically.
Oh, it's a tree, right?
It's a
Okay.
tree.
I assumed it was a plant of some kind. I didn't know it was a tree, but yeah.
I mean, everything's either a tree or a weird animal of some kind or some other kind of plant.
Yeah, it's usually a tree, a fish, or a Hebrew letter normally. Most words I find. In the meantime, Paul still has his blank. He drew OUT to go with LOT blank. Is outplot good? Not sure of that.
Yep, outplot and one more. Only one more 7.
See if I can find it. Outtold?
Yep.
Oh, good.
They do play as well.
They do. They did even before Sour Gum, but he can play hooking off either M. He'll still be about 30 behind after that, though. He might, for that reason, he might play hooking the M of Sour Gum, making MO. So he might play Outtold and MO to create another bonus line under that MO.
It's worth being slightly more aggressive at this point. Just
Or
the
actually, outplot means he's got an S as well. So yeah, high scoring play. He's doing that, which is fair enough.
Yeah, hoping to draw one of the last 2 S's.
Sadly for him, though, Piotr has one of them, so he's going to score easily with that.
You know, it's kind of one of those plays where I find it goes either way, and if it ends up backfiring completely, you more than likely end up losing the game.
Yeah, he does have to be aggressive there because he's half a bonus behind. He's got to create opportunities for himself. If your opponent has an S, then you just shrug and say, well, what can I do?
Take the S from him.
Yes.
If only that were possible.
You could have a variant of Scrabble where you can swap racks with your opponent at any time, but you can only do that once or something. That would be fun.
We'll have to create our own trickster rules. Just change them around a bit, because some of them are a bit stupid.
I've never played Scrabble Trickster, actually. I heard it was a bit silly.
I played it for my YouTube channel, and some of the cards are a bit ambiguous, and you know, when one of the cards says, here, peek at the 2-letter word list that's actually missing a 2-letter word, you're like, okay. I don't need to look at the 2-letter word list. I think I know them. But for Piotr here, I'm not actually seeing anything that really puts the H or the Y on the double letter square going onto the triple.
No, he doesn't have many vowels, which doesn't help. He's lined up YEH, which would go next to outplot. He's going to want to take off outplots if he can. That's probably the most threatening line. There's also the ZN theme, which would go next to outplot. And he has played Hay, which, yeah, that's a pretty good move, I think. There are 4 eyes to come, though, so you could well draw
3 more.
a couple more eyes. You
Yeah.
got to know that Paul's got 2 of them, but yeah, he could easily have a problematic rat next move.
But he does have the lead, which is probably more important.
Well, yeah, but it's very easy if you just think, well, I'm ahead, I'm going to score what I can, and I don't care about my rat lead. You can easily find yourself unable to deal with the threats that your opponent poses to you if you've got an imbalanced rack. That's an easy way to lose the game quite quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah. But I suppose the advantage of not being able to play something really high scoring off of outplots is that he does keep the S, so that if Paul tried to make some kind of unblockable S hook somewhere, that's not really possible now because Piotr knows he'll be able to block it.
Quite so, yeah. It's a good defensive aspect of keeping the S. You can deal with threats that Paul can create involving S hooks. So Paul has drawn the Z. No T for triazine. Well, there is a T, but it's in the wrong place. He's 66 behind. The board's not that conducive for bonuses. So he's going to have to try and score something and open up the board. He could play Zigan or something, Z-I-G-A-N, do the G of sour gum for 30, create the S hook. You have to try and draw attention away from the AW bonus line, I think, because that's likely to be quite useful. Zigan looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it creates that second bonus lane, really, and you can't. Well, you can block both. Well, you can't really block both at once, but creating two separate bonus spots that can't be blocked at the same time is always a good thing when you need a bonus.
Absolutely, yeah. Piotr almost has Sagittale, but the T's in the wrong place for that. At least be one square over.
Yeah, Piotr does have two more potential 8s. Neither of them play again. It's like full of orphans, this game.
Yeah. There's Wagtails, isn't there?
Yeah.
Wagtails, which was played as a 9-timer in the Nottingham NSC, I think, WSC, by someone.
Someone always plays these words. Someone is such a lucky person.
Not seeing what the other one is.
Add an O.
Oh, Italgias, yeah, of course, yeah. So if Paul does play Zigan, then Piotr will probably play something like Tags and Zigans for 40 to take off that opening.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 12 in the bag at this point, so if that exchange did happen, we'd be down to 3 tiles and not much room for Paul to get back into the game. He is holding the ZI, maybe he's just thinking about playing Zig.
Yeah.
Yes, he is doing that.
I mean, I can understand why he does that, because when you play more tiles and you need a bonus, then you're lessening your own opportunity to draw a bonus. But
I don't see where he's going to play a bonus next move, though, if he does draw one, because AW will disappear. I mean, there is still the line under sour gum, but it's face value, so I think Zigan was a little better there myself.
yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you as well. Just because it creates those extra lanes.
Yeah. And he's drawn IU, so if he had played Zigan, he might have been in an even worse position than he is now, but it's not looking good for him at this point.
Yeah, he's got no uranemia. Oh well.
Or Eurydinia, of course, but that IU pick may well have sunk him. But there's still time for him to get back into the game. There's down to 10 in the bag.
368 to me to 332.
Yeah, 332.
What can Piotr do to block the Or hook? Hard for him to score anything. He doesn't. He does have the S to play next to the 08. He might use the T for they, and he has done that. He's played Guilt, which, yeah, it's pretty reasonable. I suppose that the I was still 3 unseen. Blocks the AW bonus line or something. So it also restricts Sour Gum, the bonus line under that. So that's actually he does a lot with that play. Good move.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the TE at the bottom with Outplot and Hay, there was a 9 around that if only the board was extended by 1 square.
I've done some of the retain 9, so I might know it, but
well, if you drive, you'll know it.
If I what? Sorry.
If you drive a
If
car
I drive
or a vehicle. Someone did this to me while I was having a driving lesson earlier in the week, and I was petrified. Tailgates.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at Paul's rack. I thought you meant with Paul's rack.
No, with Piotr's.
Sorry, Piotr's right. Yeah, tailgate, of course, yeah.
Yeah, Paul has the equivalent of nothing mixed with nothing. Like 1 point is just not the best when you're trying to come back from behind. 1 point is that don't make a bonus as well.
You can't, because you can't bonus and you can't score, so it's the worst of both worlds, really. And it is looking pretty bleak for him now. I think he's going to have to open up the bottom left somehow and drop some vowels.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to play off UI. He can't play off UI.
Piotr's drawn the V and the C, which is going to be very useful for blocking any opening that Paul makes. So I would suggest that Piotr's going to win this one as well. Paul's playing Uni to open up the bonus line, but when to score much, he does hit something there.
Yeah, it kind of opens a bonus line just for the sake of hoping that Piotr can't really block it with anything.
Well, he could just leave it. I mean, he's only going to score 60. He could just be somewhere else and say, "Well, I don't care about that opening. It's not going to hurt me if you do hit something."
Yeah, I always like leaving those kind of bonus lanes because I get the triple back. So if there's any bonus lane I will leave, it's that one.
Well, there are only 3 tiles left now, so maybe he can't score 30 and leave one in the bag. But he'll probably just play Vax or something and us, and that'll be game over.
Yeah.
Or Cavils, if you want to go out next move. Same thing. So there is still the T of outplot to play through. So maybe it's not as trivial as I first thought.
Yeah. It's quite hard though to see that T because you are really limited by, the positioning of that T. Usually with a floater, you've got a bit of, you can put that floater in different positions in the word, but this one you can only put in the 7th position. It's good for a T, but it means that a lot of the bonuses that you can see sometimes through that T just won't fit at all. Like all of the ones that Paul has.
Yeah, there's 5 there, isn't there? I can't remember all of them. I know there's 5, but I can't remember what they all are. But I see, yes, Secret and Ciento, which don't quite fit.
Yeah, they're the only ones with the T at the end. Or near the end.
Right, yeah.
So.
From Piotr's perspective, there'll be a few 7s that go through the T, I would think. So, Cenobite, like that. Although he can probably infer that Paul kept at least 2 vowels from playing Uni, which was the case.
So from Piotr's perspective, I count 1, 2, 3 8s that fit around that T. With Cenobite being one of them.
Okay, let's see if we can. Seicento's one?
Yep.
One more. Oh, Ebeniste.
Yep.
How is it possible for Piotr to block everything? Playing through the end of Uni, for example. But you'd have to be careful not to leave the S.
Yeah, I'm sure the S would have to stay at the end, which could never be a good thing.
No. You could play Vacua, I suppose. Do the U of Uni.
Yeah, and then hope Paul can't play through the A.
There may still be a bonus onto the A. But yeah, very restrictive playing Vacua.
Yeah, especially as it won't take the S. It's always useful to know words that don't take S's. And to play them that don't take S's as well.
Yeah, especially if it looks like they should but don't. It's a good way to earn free turns.
Some of them will look like they shouldn't do.
Yes. Like elevated, for example.
I like frosted. sticking an S on
Frosted,
Frosted. That's. Oh, I think I actually played that once. That was fun. I'm not seeing any 8s that end in A with the pool that's left.
No.
So
Yeah.
Vacuum would be probably one of the best plays, unless we missed some other play.
Still wondering if he can play off 2 tiles and score 20 and keep one in the bag and just ignore the bonus line entirely. But the V isn't good for that sort of thing. It's by vaped, I suppose, but that's not really scoring much.
Yeah, the C isn't really super good either. It's because you can't use them in 2-letter words, so
Yeah.
so you're really relying on something else being on the board. And you if you were doing that, you'd want to get rid of one of those two.
You would.
The V and the C.
If you don't play one this turn, you could well get caught with one if Paul plays a bonus.
I mean, maybe something like over off of the O of sour gum, because you've got the last L as well. So maybe
that's
that
interesting.
could be worth considering.
Yeah. And you could there's 3 E's on team 2, likely to draw an E and got a good chance of playing a bonus from oval. So yeah, it's an interesting move. That's the sort of thing Nigel would do, I think. Just play for a bonus himself and not worry about what the opponent does. But I think Vacuum probably just kills everything, so he may well do that.
Yeah, over would allow sincere, so.
Yes, it would. Hooking the UN of Unai.
So Paul would definitely then play a bonus, and scores would be about level, I think.
Yeah, it's playing back, which, is fair enough.
The sensible move.
Yeah. I think if you are going to do something like that, then Cavils would be a little better, but it's immaterial because it's good enough to win.
Yeah, once you won the game, unless you really want to focus on spread and invest, spread isn't important unless there's a tie. So your number one focus is always winning the game and making sure it stays won.
Yeah, it's also a long match, so you've got to conserve energy for other games where you might actually need to think a bit more about how to win a game.
Yeah, and this was something I remember from the semi-finals, like just a dead end game, and the players were just overthinking it, and I just wanted them to play something. It was boring, and they were overthinking.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. I try and play the best end game, even though the game's lost. It's just a good habit to get into. But yes, it can cost you energy that you need later on. So Paul's lost this game. He's going to fall 2-0 behind, but won't worry too much because there's still plenty of time to come back.
Yeah, I mean, what is this, a best of 19? Like
best of 19,
left.
first of 10. Yeah, when I played Mark Nyman in the best final 5 years ago, I remember being very tired at the end of it. It didn't go to 19 games, it was 18 in the end because I won 10.5, 7.5, but very exhausting weekend.
And I usually end up tired after 7 games. Can't imagine playing.
You have to pace yourself because there's only one game going on, of course, so you can decide how long breaks are. But you can so easily just get into the rhythm of playing immediately after a game is finished. So it's a bit more compressed than tournaments tend to be, which takes its toll over time.
I've always found that breaks swing the luck. So if I was losing, I'd demand to have a 20-minute break.
Yeah, breaks can be useful if you're struggling or you're not drawing well or whatever. I've had situations where I've lost a couple of games before the break and I come back and a bit more refreshed and play a bit better and things go better. It's maybe it's just bias, but I don't tend to notice that if I'm doing well in this break and I lose a game. I don't tend to notice that. I don't put it down to the fact that a break has occurred. It's just the swing of things, I guess.
I always notice, because my luck goes both ways before and after a break. Like the one tournament I played in the last 3 years, because I was a reserve, Swindon, I was 3-0 before the break, and then I lost 3 out of 4 after the break. But
Yeah.
if I lose, I'll
It does
tend to
happen,
lose
yeah.
3 before the break, and then win 3 or 4 after the break. But you know, at least I win 4 games by the end of it, usually. Very consistent. Which is always a bad thing, because it means I never win tournaments. You can't win a tournament with 4 games.
You can't. You can do it with 5. It does happen, but it's rare. But yeah, 4-3 isn't enough to win a tournament normally.
Oh, phone off. No. Damn it, phone. Oh well. It's possible Paul here is trying to work out whether Piotr does have an outplay, but I mean, it's that, or he's trying to work out if he has a bonus himself. And I really doubt that either of those things is possible.
Or maybe he's looking for a 9 through GI. I don't know. Maybe. Don't think there is one, but it would be fun. You won't want to miss anything on camera, that's for sure.
Well, there is a 9 through GI, but it doesn't fit. Of course, it doesn't fit.
Generis, no, not genericize. That's 10 letters. No, I'm not seeing it.
Isenergic. Isenergic.
Right, I've never heard of that.
Maybe Nigel has, but we definitely haven't.
I expect Nigel has heard of it, yes. Anyway, Paul plays Eames, gives up the hunt for the bonus, takes the points, all 30 of them.
Looks like one of the highest scoring words or potential moves of this time as well.
Anything making hooking zig is probably going to be the highest scoring play here. Piotr has drawn BEO's kept with the LAI kept originally.
Nowhere for Obelia, sadly.
No. But you won't mind too much about that. You could even afford to play a phony, I think, but I don't want to do that.
You never want to do that in an endgame.
No.
Like, unless you're like 300 points ahead, you don't want to play a phony.
No. You could play nil for the N of Knob just for style points, but which scores very well. But you'll want to play the B, so you may well do something like Bloom from the OM of Devere and Gam.
If the scores were closer, it's possible that nil would be a really great play.
Yeah, 28.
It's one of the better scorers on the board.
He's played at Obeli, though. That does block crit. Oh, but he's got Runic, so yeah. So that finishes game 2. Joshua's won this one as well by 50 points or so. Exactly 50 as it turns out. So 2-0 lead for him. Best of 19 match.
Seconds is 1 minute, yeah. And then 1 minute to 1 minute 59 seconds is 2 minutes. So it's minus 20.
Very interesting game.
Yeah, that's minus 30.
Saragov was a great find.
Yeah.
And it really
So it's 3,
put a lot of pressure on Paul because it meant Joshua was 100 ahead.
4, 26.
To just able to stay far enough ahead. Yeah.